robot with green eyes. Does that description sound familiar to anyone? What about the girl who opts for decapitation? Well, I mentioned that she's in prison. What I left out was that she's actually trapped in the stomach of a white and pink bear with a twisted sense of humor and a thirst for blood. And if all that's too subtle for you, well, the first story outright has a guy in a golden bunny suit taking us to see 6 murdered kids in the back of a Freddy's Pizzeria in the year 1985. Pretty darn direct, but more on that later. These stories matter because they're giving us more information about how the FNAF universe operates. Sometimes in very direct ways, like giving us the exact number of murder victims and the dates of their death. And sometimes in more indirect ways, by showing us that this is a canon where a girl...
Look at I'm gonna text it to you. I'm gonna send you a link to the stream, like I always do. So be grateful, you, Kira. Gay. Well, it's not gay anymore. Because Cat's the man in our relationship. I'm sorry, but I had to, like, you put yourself in that situation.
Rebuilt day by day, piece by piece as a human-robot hybrid so realistic that no one, not even herself, realizes it. And so that is what we're covering today. What these stories show us about the FNAF universe, what they confirm, and also what important new details they unlock. Plus, they open up a big theory about the games, one that I actually got wrong late last year, and I'm very excited about now. So with all that said, reader beware, you're in for a scare. Oh, and for those of you who've dismissed the stories as non-canon, I wouldn't be too quick to judge.
Where do you see androids at?
Each one of them has this in its official description. Quote, in this volume, horror master Scott Cawthon spins 3 sinister novella-length stories from different corners of his series' canon. And different corners of the canon, you say? Sounds to me like some stories are going to be more aligned with the trilogy of books,
they did the fusion
more
dance.
so with the canon of the games, but still, all of them existing within the canon itself. So absolutely worth our time to investigate. The first story actually has a lot to cover, so I'm gonna just save that one for last and instead start with the second, To Be Beautiful. In it, Sarah, a 14-year-old girl, rescues a red pigtailed clown animatronic from the trunk of a car that she finds in the scrapyard. Grateful to be saved, the robot, who calls herself Eleanor, but is probably better described as Giraffe Baby based on the cut illustrations from the book, says that she'll grant any wish. Sarah wishes to be beautiful, and Baby, like a twisted fairy godmother, makes it happen by putting Sarah to sleep every night and hacking off sections of her body while she's unconscious, replacing them with robotic junk. Quote, Sarah looked at the floor. One bag contained a human leg, another a human arm. Blood pooled in the bottoms of the bags, but the limbs had been severed neatly, as if in a surgical amputation. Another bag.
See, I'm gonna go to all the easiest places where another Dragon Ball is.
Liver slid from the cabinet shelf and landed on the floor with a wet splat. Hey, if pizza wings never work out for you, baby, Beverly Hills plastic surgeon is a great backup career. The only stipulation is that Sarah must wear a special necklace to keep the illusion
Kira,
alive.
when I tell you the last part of the stupid quest, I mean the Superman story versus Cable was irritating.
By her own severed body parts as she's forced
I did good, like I was goated with like
world having stolen her old look and identity. Quote again, I made your wish come true, Sarah, and in return
it won't let me upload the clip of me beating the story, bro.
Her silver finish.
I low key I'm finna start a new game. Like I'm gonna keep this save file, but like I'm gonna load a new game. What I'm doing right now. You can go back in time. I could go back in time, but I wanted to complete all these side quests before I go back in time. That's a Dragon Ball. Oh my god, no! Oh, let's transform. Krillin, solar flare. Now then. Spirit bomb. They ran up, bro. I just wanted to get my Dragon Ball and leap away. I need that over there. Where is it? I need that over there. Oh, it's over here. Alright. So, like, Get down. Don't ask why I need the fish. It's a long, difficult process of me just sitting there fishing to get one certain fish that I'm not getting right now and it's pissing me off.
Well, you certainly made my wishes come true. Great story to read to the kids at night, by the way. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the shape-shifting robot slice off your face and steal it. Anyway, as I mentioned before, Sarah's extreme makeover confirms that in the FNAF canon, humans can be partly or fully robotic without ever knowing it. We've seen it before in the original trilogy of books, where the fourth closet revealed that protagonist Charlie was a highly advanced robot, and we're seeing it again happening here. A normal human Sarah unknowingly being remade into a robot. The fact that this is now a recurring element of the series.
I'll show it. I mean, if I didn't do that, I'll show you how to get him. Oh my god, no, leave me alone.
Could have been put back together in a much more
there, bro.
way than any of us
Stop!
were expecting all those years ago. He would
I hate this game so much. Okay, Super Saiyan.
Grew up without knowing it and was only able to
they came back to back.
He miraculously survived being scooped at the end of Sister Location.
This is why Krill is my favorite. Oh, bitch.
Does this little short story outright confirm any of it? No, certainly not. But third time is a charm, Michael. The third story about a girl named Millie trapped inside
the island Halo.
Bro, I refuse to fight, bro. Like,
your life is about to change. It brought her back to life.
Get away, get away, get away. Good job, Krillin.
How is this possible?
You did good as a support, but now Dragon Fist.
Sometimes Freddy's stomach doesn't really tell us a whole lot, but instead it just confirms what we already suspected, that the Funtime robots were designed to be large enough to capture kids, and either kill them off or transport them to underground testing facilities. Moving on to the end of the book, there's a little teaser, like a Marvel movie but with 100% less Nick Fury, where we get a preview of a seemingly new monster. Two cops are discussing a hooded figure raiding the neighborhood's dumpsters. They call it the Stitch Raid. Quote, the Stitch Wraith, witnesses said, was a shrouded figure in some sort of cloak. The detective squinted at a picture that showed the figure pulling what seemed to be a mannequin's torso.
Okay, so I need the Dragon Ball from here, which I'll get last because I know it's all the way in his nigga's village. Then I have to go to Ginger Town.
Its features were drawn onto the curved white surface. It had dark eyes, one of which looked blackened. Were those blood stains around the mouth? End quote.
I low-key should get this one last because I gotta go to Capture Court.
I mean, you got yourself a creature that has a white mask with a missing blacked-out eye, sharp, potentially bloody teeth, and a lurching walk. Definitely similar to the way that he's shown in the games. Ennard's obsession with trash would also be appropriate for the Stitch Raid. I mean, it's just a mass of wires. It needs something like a mannequin torso to give it form. We actually see the same thing with Scrap Baby's design from FNAF 6. Between games, she clearly assimilated any and all garbage into her form to be more passable and human. To me, I gotta be honest, I just think the Stitch Wraith story is cool because it shows the outside world's reaction to the Freddy creatures that we all know. It starts to show what happened to them after the events of the game. It connects the dots for the story after the credits finished rolling. To know that Ennard, after he escaped
so
from
who
the location, to the in-universe people going about their daily lives is just this urban legend named the Stitch Wraith. I guess that's just...
Oh, I left because I turned my whatchamacallit back on.
Anyway,
my friends only messages.
5 dead bodies to Ennard. Quote, 5 withered bodies with eyes that bled black down the sides of the face.
Actually,
so it appears that Ennard,
I'll show you the combat.
Body tried to skin suit 5 or so other people.
Actually, I'll go.
It says withered.
Yeah, I'll go to
These
this
are
place
bodies that have
and use it there.
Just like we saw with Michael's at the end of Sister Location. And the mode of death.
Corin. I gotta go get some sensu beans.
Oil as Ennard needs to go and find another skin suit to possess. That's pretty much everything else. But what I really want to focus on now and in a follow-up mini-theory is the first story of this bunch. The story where the book into the pit.
What you got? King Kai's planet, you got the new planet Namek, and you got
spent most of his summer in an old rundown restaurant
the Supreme Kai planet.
One day, wanting to pull a prank on his father, he finds himself in a...
But again, there is a season pass, so I guess we're gonna get more stuff.
That takes him to 1985, the day where 6 murders have just happened.
As you see, we still got Trunks around.
Pizzeria. Quote, when the smell of pizza hit Oswald's nose, he understood. He was still in Jeff's pizza.
Where's the Dragon Ball? I know it's around here somewhere.
Jeff took over.
I'll low-key fly around this whole place because it's small as fuck.
Was a mural of the same character.
Never mind, it's right there.
The brown bear, the blue rabbit, and the bird girl. Below their faces were the words Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He even caught sight of a calendar hanging in an open office that helped him pinpoint the date, 1985. And way to take the mystery out of it there, guys. I was all ready to cross-reference all the arcade cabinet that you saw in the pizzeria and the allusions to the Smurfs and other popular media at the time to find the date, but you just had to go and take that all away from me. Thanks for saving me the research, I guess, but no thanks for taking away my deserving YouTube watch minutes. And here's the first big mind blow of this book series. First, because I think there are actually two in this one story. In this story, we get ourselves clear, indisputable evidence that in 1985, 6 kids were killed. Quote, the rabbit stopped in front of a door with a sign reading party room. 2 dozen kids, none of them older than Oswald.
You do got this big ass thing right here.
Sitting positions, their legs stretched out in front of them. They were all wearing Freddy Fazbear birthday party hats. Oswald couldn't tell how they died, but he knew the rabbit was responsible
right here.
for it. That the rabbit had wanted him to see his handiwork. End quote. On one hand, it's incredible to finally get ourselves a date and a firm number of dead children. But get ready to change your Facebook status.
There's 4 pages and only got 3.
You see,
so I have a lot more characters to collect.
Has never once been an important date in the series. 1983? Absolutely, that's FNAF 4. 1987? You betcha, that's FNAF 2. We've got ourselves 80s representation.
But like, if I do this,
mullets and oingo boingo for days, but never, not
like,
once.
Everyone has their own little, whatchamacallit, like, cross-referencing.
Well, it might be easy to immediately write that off as a typo or some non-canon
like, look.
event. Definitely not. Far from it. In fact, for as wacko as it seems, this time travel
Daniel! Together we are the Daniel Force!
that we've never seen before, but one that we have absolutely known to have existed since the second game in this series. As proof, let me pull up a clip from my second ever episode on FNAF. Back when Purple Guy was actually Phone Guy. Those were the days. Every way to Sunday, this game is a prequel. Posters everywhere in Five Nights 2.
Low key.
To this new location, implying that there was
no, I'm gonna keep it like this.
Fazbear's Pizza somewhere before this one. Additionally, the Phone Guy makes reference to it on
everybody got their own little side comment thingy.
Left to rot. So let me recap. There's the restaurant.
If you like, you get that confirm boost.
The timeline. The one that you're
luckily for me, I got all the ones I wanted.
In Five Nights 2, and
but I want to collect this last Dragon Ball.
Pizzeria left to rot, and the original Fredbear's Diner. In FNAF 2, we're presented with newspaper clippings that outright says that this location is having a grand reopening. But we knew.
But the characters, like all the characters, I couldn't bring all of them back to life. And
it was a prequel sequel, so there had to have been
all the characters, like I know the Doria's on the island somewhere. I know the Cell Juniors, Captain Ginyu, like I have like almost everybody. When I wish them back, they like in a certain place. You just gotta find them. They just sit there, like, cause they're a side quest for different characters. And where the fuck is this Dragon Ball? Oh, thank God, it's not halfway across the map again.
The timeline that's been missing for the last 5 years.
Every character will change
since the very beginning of this
depending on, you know, what's, depending on what part of the story you in.
In fact, I can actually do you one better.
I
believe this to be the 6 dead kids
actually,
that end up reuniting in the happiest day in the game from FNAF 3. Notice that detail about all of them wearing
Adult Gohan. This Vegeta still has armor, but I think yeah. His style is armor. Krillin got hair. Yamcha barely has his hair.
Never stops. Verizon keeps business ready.
No, these are supports. You can play as him. It's like Legacy of Goku. Except you can't play as Goten nor Trunks. But you play as this Trunks.
This is huge information here, guys. However, true to form, as it always is with this story, not everything lines up. With this,
you also play as Piccolo.
Murders that we see at a pizzeria set before 1987, then we should be seeing the animatronics get possessed here. It's something that we've never.
You lucky? I'm lucky. I got to play as fucking whatchamacallit.
Children's incident where the victim's bodies
Gotenks and Vegeta.
Never to be found, but it's clearly not. The book makes it very obvious that these bodies
were
only
doing story mode. I forgot.
Visible. quote again, there were noises, but
All
not
right.
the usual ones that Fred Fazbear's. Screams, crying children, yells for help, chaos. Oswald's stomach and knots.
But the side quests, they're like their support. They were good as support characters though. Like I have to say, they played the support characters nice. Cause like I would rather have Krillin and Tiana support, cause like that solar flare be deadly when you need it. Cause it blinds enemies, so like I'd rather have them as support and then rather having to use their technique in my own type of strategy.
Oh my gosh, look, there's living animatronics roaming around this pizzeria. Oh, and we installed security devices just because we know a murderer came around the last time. There's a reason I stopped talking about the timeline of these things. Additionally, there are 6 children dead. The children's incident only
But
itself 5.
there's a surprise. She's here.
Right? Since FNAF 6, 6 children has always been the magic number. It's weird to mention a magic number when talking
Android 21's here.
You know what? This series desensitizes you to a lot. Our list is Susie, Britt, Gabriel, Jeremy, Cassidy, and Charlotte. The core 4 animatronics, Golden Freddy, and the puppet 6. The problem is, Charlotte the puppet always seems to have a separate death outside of the building, outside of the realm of the other 5.
Yeah, but Android 21's here.
Suddenly lined up with all the rest of the kids at the same time just doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. I don't know.
I know I sent a screenshot.
To think on it more because everything else lines up. We have ourselves a golden bunny leading kids down a hallway into a back room, just like those original newspaper clippings describe. He's also very clearly visible, which means he'd likely be taken into custody. Again, just like those original newspaper clippings describe. As it always is with the series, so many items line up. There's just 1 or 2 little details, little sticky points that make it so awkward. I honestly think, though, that this isn't the last time that we're
You remember when Goku had to get Elder Kai a kiss from a girl? They included that.
Well, that one is set in the fall with the very 80s. Again, we've been talking about the Rockstar animatronics for a couple episodes now, and that's the one where they get revealed. It wouldn't be surprising for me to see that game be the one where we finally set foot in that first ever Freddy Fazbear season. And when it's all the events are possible.
She said no. I ain't giving this nigga no kiss. We ain't giving this nigga the Dragon Balls. I low-key should have used them hoes, but like, I hate the quest that I had to collect the Dragon Balls. It's fast as fuck, but you gotta search for them. Plus, if you run into an enemy, like, that's a fight. Especially when cause the enemies level up the same way you level up.
Subscribe, ring the bell, and most importantly, remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I know these FNAF episodes tend to dive pretty deep sometimes, but even after all the games and books and shades of purple, I gotta say I still find them fun. That said, if this episode leaves you wanting more, well, you can always dive into the books themselves with the help of today's sponsor, Audible.com.
Yeah,
book service, you can literally play
on to Capsule Court. But I can get the Dragon Balls again since I didn't use them. Why you sound far away? You messing with your mic? Yeah. You were good before.
You can also already pre-order Fetch Book 2 of the Fazbear Bright series in preparation for even more animatronics.
You should have been there when we made Katara and Roku. Katara and Roku from Avatar. No.
When you're not looking to rack your brain. So Audible has all the classic goosebumps I love growing up, including who I mentioned earlier, Night of the Living Dummy, So Creepy, and Say Cheese and Die. I mean, these things are classics. So if you've read them already, you want to.
They low key do, but that's the point. All right, next. How much more do I need? Multi-hit master. Indomitable Spirit, Self-Meditation, Harmony, Merciless.
Anyway, my advice for you today, go listen to audiobooks, stay out of ball pits. Audible.com/MadPat. AUDIBLE.com/MATP.
I'm not doing this one yet, but if they're lower, it'll be 20% more damage. You 21. So, ooh, I'll use this in a minute, but let's do this one first. You finna see me get jumped because I effed up and then put which one call on my team. But I do got this, so. They do 1 damage, but they finna get one-shotted. Oh my god, no! Move! I hate that I got paralyzed. Listen. I'm tired of y'all, bro. Try. Where you think Raccoon just went? Now then. Yeah, when you... No. If you use up all your energy, it does that. Alright then. Die! Perfect harmony. Alright, let me not do this again because I don't want to get jumped. Krillin and Tien. Wait, piece of I put which one? Krillin never had a nose. Because we're looking at it from the front, it's not going to be visible. Wait, no, I ain't got no energy. No, no. Wait, I got energy? Where am I? I do got energy. Solar flare. You're first. Double solar flare. No. Bad burger. Now let me do this. Now get spammed. That's basically what it was. Do I want it though? We'll do it tonight. We'll just do her.
Entertainment has developed something of a reputation over the last few decades. And while it's true that some stories associated with our name were loosely based on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic, lawsuits pending.
And yes, that sweet, sweet piece of man candy tasty there is Scott Kaufman himself. Okay, fine, haha, funny joke there, Scott. I mean, this series likes to get self-aware. We're all familiar with that. And for a mainline film series, this one felt pretty...
Alright, you're low 40. I'll go easy. Oh my god, no! What's up? What's his name, sister? What's his name? Jace's sister. Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. There's more twists in FNAF VR than there is in the typical M. Night Shyamalan.
He's a part of the game. She's not canon, no. Just like she's the Kakarot exclusive character, just like Android 21 is a fighter exclusive character. You also got Mira in this game, but I don't feel like getting him right now. I can fight Mira, so like you got Xenoverse and all that other stuff in here. But this, I only fought her for this right here. The former Ginyu Force member.
Let me rephrase what we just heard. Scott is one of the bad guys. He was lying to us. If that VR's tapes are to be believed, pretty much everything we know from the first 3, at least, maybe even 4, 5, heck, 6 games could all be thrown out as complete fabrications created by Scott Cawthon for the sole reason because he was paid off by Fazbear Entertainment. Except I was wrong. Nothing new to be sure, but here my timing couldn't have been any worse. You see, earlier that very week that I uploaded that video, Scott made a post on Reddit saying that the indie game developer from FNAF VR isn't him. Here's what he had to say. Well, the question is this: is Scott Cawthon now a part of FNAF lore? The short answer is no. Yes, I used my own picture for this indie developer because it's not parallel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually me in universe. And yeah, Scott, you remain vague and mysterious about the lore for years, half a decade at this point. And this one little detail is the thing that you want to clarify. And you just choose to do it right before my video on this very topic, which, while it is honestly still a perfectly valid theory, gets everyone to dismiss all of the findings for that entire theory since it's the one small detail that I get wrong and everyone focuses on. I don't have feelings about any of that at all. Scott continues. So no, I'm not canon. Only the existence of a game developer that supposedly made video games based on actual events that may or may not be a cover-up by Fazbear Entertainment is canon.
Okay, I'm gonna put you up here. Put you up here.
Because they're so readily available. In FNAF 4, I used a picture of a mountain range that I took while I was a truck driver in West Texas. I used a picture of a snowman that me and my older sons made together. I used a picture of a pet mockingbird that we nursed back to health one year. Do these have lore significance? Well, you probably already know the answer. End quote. Oh, I know the answer, Scott. And that answer is yes. You breathe and it becomes canon. My ever-decreasing sanity aside, it does leave open the door as to the identity of who this rogue indie developer is. And I
Don't want to fuss.
Fazbear writes his story into
Okay.
reveals to us who it might actually
Items earned in battle. Item purchase.
I believe
Key.
game designer. The
Key attacks.
through these games is the story's main character, Oswald, a little 10-year-old boy who winds up in a time-traveling ball pit to visit the 1986
Alright,
murder scene
now we're done.
of Freddy Fazbear's I believe
Wait.
he grows up to be hired on by Fazbear Entertainment to create these games. Now, that might
Characters.
seem like a stretch for a character that we only get to know in the
Triangle.
span of 40 pages, but holy Melora.
This skill tree
Evidence in those
is
40
fucking extensive. Look at this. I don't even got everything unlocked, but just know if I went Super Saiyan 2, it'll be as strong as Super Saiyan 3. And if I went Super Saiyan 1, it'll be strong as the beginning of Super Saiyan 2. And if I went Kaioken, it'll be the strongest Super Saiyan 2 also.
Sometimes he drew the animals' exposed metal skeletons, or sketched them with the fur peeling. It was a creepy effect, like seeing a person's skull peeking out from beneath the skin. And now, mind you, this is without him ever having a connection to animatronics. Heck, he doesn't have a connection to the pizzeria at this point in the story. He has never been there. Nothing. This is just him naturally choosing to draw these oddly specific things without any outside references or influences. So already this boy seems to have himself a strange connection to the FNAF lore, or is just a psychopath in training, but there's more. For such a short story, Into the Pit takes a lot of time to establish Oswald as a fan of video games, B-grade Japanese movies, and manga. A lot of time.
What deleted your message?
Story. We hear about him listening to video game soundtracks. We witness the debates that he has with his
Oh wow.
Good.
Good. Save me, game. Make it harder for an enemy to target you.
Now, the connection to video games is pretty obvious, right? If he likes video games, well, there's a chance that he'd want to grow up to be a designer of video games himself. But it's his connection to old, cheesy Japanese films and manga that really got my gears turning. Think back to Ultimate Custom Night. At various point thresholds in that game, you would unlock the Bear of Vengeance cutscenes. Each one clearly inspired by those old, poorly dubbed Japanese samurai movies. The art style clearly ripping on classic anime and manga animation. The mysterious designer of the FNAF game.
Hello, I am Trunks.
Made Ultimate Custom Night.
Nip nip.
To be a fan of this style of storytelling to want to incorporate it into his work. And here we have.
No, Kier, I was gonna make this thing called Dragon Set Z, and it was gonna be. I was gonna look Goku. He was gonna be like, "What's up? My name is Feiku. I rep the set of the Fadelings. I'll fade anyone who step on my block." And that's on Baby Them. And you know, we was just gonna play off of that. Yeah. When he went Super Saiyan, Freeze's gonna be like, Freeze's gonna kill you. So I'm like, this is what I think about your set, nigga. Boom. Weak ass set. Full of these weak ass niggas gonna be like, what you say? Fuck the set. Don't you ever disrespect my set. You know, I go cool, bro. DLC. Gotta wait. Probably both.
But okay, saying our designer was this kid who draws animatronics, comes from a low to modest income family, story similar to Scott, like video games and anime is still a bit of a stretch, right? Describes like 90% of kids. Okay, well, maybe not all kids have a psychic connection with a decades-old murder restaurant, but the rest of it, sure, pretty generic kid. Here's the thing, though. We're not just talking about Oswald's character traits. If you look at Ozzy's experience with the Fazbear restaurant in the story, you could see where he'd be inspired to include certain game elements that we ourselves played. The first and most obvious is Jeff, the current owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the pizzeria that took over the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's and Oswald's. Described in the book like this. Quote, Jeff was creepy too. He looked 100 years old, but was probably just 30, with those heavy-lidded, bloodshot eyes, stained apron, and slow movement. He was like a zombie pizza chef. And
I can drive a car.
Bloodshot eyes, zombie pizza chef with a red stain.
Oh, now I gotta go back and make it. Like,
Well, be the inspiration behind an undead murderer in a pizzeria
yeah.
who refuses to die, or a walking purple zombie that haunts the streets of the town.
Oh, he said you want to say younger him around.
Fazbear Entertainment was tasked to lie about and make light of the murders in the Freddy restaurants. So what we see in the games would likely be a mix of reality and fiction. Oswald could very well be pulling from his real-life experiences. I mean, the names of people Oswald encounters also have themselves an uncanny similarity to what we see in the games. Ozzy's best friend from the past is named Mike. A Mike who outright says this, quote, you know, when I was little, I loved Freddy Fazbear's band. I even had a stuffed Freddy I used to sleep with, end quote. Sorry, that's the lore connection alarm. It goes off anytime someone makes a passing reference to FNAF 4. In that same conversation, Mike also reveals that he has himself a sister. Sorry again. And then they also talk about how creepy clowns and dolls are. Apologies, that's my other alarm. That's the sister location revelation alarm. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be Mike Afton or Mike Emily. Oh, you can bet I checked into that one. But these conversations could certainly have inspired Oswald to make a character named Mike, who lives and loves the Freddy Fazbear franchise, who has himself a favorite Freddy plush, who has a sister who loves dolls and becomes a really creepy clown doll hybrid who commands an army of dolls herself. Later in the book, Oswald meets a girl named Gabrielle, who loves Drinksman and gives him the courage to fight back against Golden Bonnie. Gabrielle is a very random character, but one with, again, a very important name. One that is, once again, shockingly similar to one of the kids that we find on our gravestone, Gabriel. Even the theme of this short story could have inspired Oswald's game. You see, after Oswald uncovers the 1985 murders, his dad gets sucked into the time travel of Golden Bonnie. And not just sucked in, he's replaced. Suddenly, everywhere his dad should be, Ozzy instead sees the silent, staring Golden Bonnie stalking, watching. Ozzy is the only one who sees it too. Everyone else just just sees his father like normal. Actually, a really creepy, disturbing piece of imagery. One that gets Ozzy to question his own sanity, but it's also one that directly ties back to the core motif of the games. A father, William Afton, becoming a golden bunny to terrorize kids, including his own son. A son who then has to go out, seek, and ultimately rescue his father in order to end the nightmare. And then you just have random lines inserted into the story that kind of fit.
Alright.
No, but are also oddly
We gotta go to the Northeast Mountains.
franchise like this. Quote, every day you toss me out on the street like garbage. End quote. Which are reminiscent of the Math 6 salvage minigames. Animatronics literally being thrown out on the street. This line, as Ozzy says it in the context of the scene, is kind of awkward. But if you're looking at it through the lens of, hey, this is actually a lore connection back to the games, now all of a sudden it fits perfectly. There are just so many details that line up between Oswald's character, the people he meets, and the things that he goes through that line up with someone who could have named a FNAF game, who could have concocted parts and pieces of this story. Even motive-wise, it makes sense. Maybe Fazbear hires him on because they know he knows the truth, and it's to get him to shut up. Maybe Ozzy accepts the money because A, he's poor, and B, he's scared. He knows what they can do to him. I mean, will any of this ever come into play in any way, shape, or form? Unclear, probably not, but one, it actually may be able to help us better separate out the truth from the fiction in the early games of this franchise. Like knowing zombie people were inspired by Jeff, the owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the zombie guy, may take all of that information off the table to really let us focus on what truly matters, a specific subset of murders. But even if it doesn't do anything grandiose like that,
Oh, you said you wanted to see the car?
we end up seeing Oswald again at some point. I mean, already there's a new teaser for the next installment of Fazbear Fright, Fetch, up on Scott's website. So we can bet that we're going to have a lot more to say about this series and its connections with the games in the coming months. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Wow, look at the highway over there.
Dun, dun.
This ought to be the way. Ah, love the breeze.
Hikaru kun no skill they fly away. What's up?
Nope, you're not dreaming. It is
Remember when you said you wanted to see 17?
just a nightmare trying to do it. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where it's another day, another FNAF timeline. Don't worry though, I promise to give you my final stat and put it all together.
Now watch this.
Until Black Hole. Maybe that means I can finally do Undertale. You guys want that one, right? It's like a popular choice. Let me know in the comments. Now let me start this episode by making it very clear. I think this
What do you think I'm in right now?
indeed what Scott intended, where the minigames featuring the crime child from FNAF 4 are real. I mean, there's really a birthday party and
It's not the chunk sheet thing.
each night with Freddy's across the 4 games, where a security guard is a
Bro, let go of that area, bro.
like I said last episode, the clock sounds coupled with Scott's own statements both during the live stream and on Steam sold me 100% on that theory. That said, I, like a lot of you, aren't 100% satisfied with that explanation. Sure, the core gameplay sequences will secret the security guard from falling in the mind of a child, but the underlying story here about a serial killer stalking the halls of the restaurant are just too detailed and too well fleshed out to just be a wash. Here, to me, are the big issues that the dream theory doesn't address. One, the crying child is afraid of those yellow suits for a reason. laughing as he catches you. These are lines that his imaginary friend Fredbear repeats over and over. It feels a lot more sinister and real than just, oh, this kid saw something scary and misunderstood it in the shadows. 2. The puppet doesn't have a good explanation under Dream Theory. Clearly the puppet is one of the most important forces in this game, but he doesn't fit into the dream model cleanly. A lot of other theorists have said that the boy's actions in his own dreams, but later this episode I'll prove that that's not true. If anything,
It said it in Super he was married.
in these dreams, helpless and scared, not the puppet. I'm not buying it. 3. God confirmed the bulk of my FNAF 2 theory. This would be a strange move for him to go out of his way to say that a chain of events was correct if it was true. Finally, number 4, the Atari minigames. Under Dream Theory, what? They're just dreams within dreams? What is this, Five Nights at Inception? And then there are plenty of little issues too, like a young child's dreams being so detailed as to concepts that even most adults don't know, like sister locations and accurate minimum wage rates. So I combed over everything from the past year of theorizing to come up with the most well-supported, interesting, but also logical timeline of events, telling the story of
There's a lot of side quests.
Freddy Fazbear's
But anyway,
I'll be sure to call out
17 where your bitch ass at?
flow of events I believe creates the most satisfying narrative to the series. So this one is dedicated to all you guys on Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, and in the comments who've been sending me theories for fun.
Look at Hercule.
Here present for you. Right or wrong, this box is getting open. The story begins at Fredbear's Family Diner, the first location as revealed to us by Phone Guy in FNAF 2, and confirmed indirectly by Scott when he approved theory. I don't honestly think that there's much to debate here anymore.
The one with Adele.
Murdered outside the establishment by a mysterious figure. The
Proud father-in-law, that's the last one.
The victim's restless soul goes on to inhabit a puppet, which would then haunt the halls of Korea. Boom! Done. No need to dwell on that. In the wake of the tragedy, the owners sell the name of Fredbear and the character's likeness to a larger company that will soon be known as Fazbear Entertainment. From there, the timeline picks up in 1983, as seen on the Crime Child's television set. Since buying the franchise, Fazbear Entertainment has distanced themselves
Where's
from the
Ader?
restaurant by redesigning
Can't believe you don't know who Ader is, though.
Yellow Rabbit partner.
He was the first android.
TV series, Fredbear and Friends, as well as the line of merchandise that includes both
At least you know now.
plushies of all the characters. But perhaps the biggest addition has been a sister location of restaurants where Fredbear's friends are headlining. Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie.
I'm sorry, but like,
Fazbear's Pizza. And that is our first major revelation, that FNAF 4's Fredbear themed restaurant and FNAF 1's Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location are open at the same time. We know this thanks to
yeah,
the phone
here's the other one.
uncovered in FNAF 3. For those of you who haven't listened to those,
He alive? I don't know what happened.
So jealous of your life. But secondly, let me refresh your memories. The tapes welcome you to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and then mention a tragic incident at a sister location which resulted in the yellow spring-lock suits being decommissioned. So let me translate that for you. For all those unfamiliar with corporate buzzwords, a sister location is defined as another company owned by the same parent company. For example, KFC,
Machine, more machines than man.
with the parent company that holds them all together being Yum Brand.
He said, are you an android too?
Pizza Hut right now. Pizza Hut Lunch Buffet, you are the best. Hashtag not sponsored. In this case, FNAF 4's Fredbear's is the
But you can come back here.
pizza with the parent company being
I wonder, where do you go? Well, you give one to everything, but
that the unfortunate incident that Phone Guy mentions in the FNAF 3 tapes is the crying child getting chomped, which in turn is the inciting event that causes the two recently delivered yellow suits to the FNAF 1 location, the Golden Freddy and Golden Bonnie suit Phone Guy talks about, to be stored away in the location's safe room. At this point, the timeline's still open and hidden at the back of the restaurant.
I wonder.
Enter Purple Guy. Shortly after the yellow suits get decommissioned, more FNAF 3 tapes reveal Phone Guy warning employees to not bring customers back to the safe room and to stop moving the yellow Bonnie suits. In the following days, the safe room gets sealed with a request to, quote, not tell family, friends, or insurance representatives. Now, Phone Guy may be unaware of what's happening here.
what are you doing?
This is June 26, 1983. The date of the missing children incident we learn about through the newspaper clippings pasted on the walls of FNAF 1, where, in the middle of the day, an employee dresses in a costume lures 5 children to the
Kira.
room, kills them, and then stuffs their bodies.
The fuck are you doing?
Although he's called,
It's very loud
the fact
and
that
kinda annoying.
place in the restaurant's safe room, which remember are in invisible animatronics and security cameras means that the actual murders aren't on camera. As such, the bodies of the children remain missing, hidden in the suits, and the killer can't be charged due to a lack of evidence. This is all represented in the game by the Foxy Go 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 minigame, where the layout of the game parallels the layout of the FNAF 1 location. Pirate Cove, to the right, a dining area. And as we see in the Give Gift Skip Life minigame from FNAF 2, the puppet saves the kids by giving them life inside the animatronic suits. So now at this point in the timeline, we have Freddy, Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, Golden Freddy, and the puppet alive and well. Well, not alive, dead, and then reborn. You get the idea. Also, the company closes up the safe rooms to avoid all liability for the murders, and eventually the pizzeria is closed.
Oh, dirty.
Of the restaurant. As we see once again in the newspaper clippings from FNAF 1, the smell of
Good thing I got.
inside the machines.
I won't show it to you, but it's gonna work.
For a second. Up to now, everything's been
Wait, Chelsea, can you get solar flare too?
before we get to
If you get solar flare, it'll be lit.
the crying child. Remember, one of my biggest
Telekinesis.
theories is that the crying child is scared of the yellow suits, but there's no real good explanation.
Telekinesis.
Why? So
I don't know what the fuck.
the reason the crying child is scared of the yellow suits is because he saw the
I think it just stuns them like solar flare, but it's not. It's not solar flare, bro. It's like the weaker version. Yeah.
children's incident would happen before the yellow suits are retired and before the kid gets bit. But it's a theory that works for a lot of different reasons. First, he's always at the pizzerias, especially towards the end of the day, so he'd definitely be in a position to see something like this. Second, it explains his irrational fear of the yellow suits because he saw them get taken to the back and never returned. Third, the lines of remember what you saw, and you know what will happen if he catches you, that psychic friend Fredbear keeps repeating, makes a whole lot more sense now. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, look at this line. These are my friends. If this were indeed true, this line takes on a whole new meaning. I always thought that line was weird. Like, what, they're your imaginary friends? I suppose, but then why would his collection of plushies just be with him when he dies? Why is that such an important...
KFC's original recipe is made from a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices.
Of FNAF's newly released ghost stories, The Fazbear Frights. Last week we covered the majority of this book's key reveals, including the massive bombshell where we visit what is chronologically the earliest Freddy Fazbear's Pizza we've yet seen, a location that we have never visited before in any of this series canon, but one that we know to have existed somewhere in the background since the release of FNAF 2. With 6 murders set in 1985, it makes it very likely that this was the mystery location to have closed down the franchise before its grand reopening 2 years later in 1987. And that, loyal theorists, is why I scrounged through every scrap of FNAF content out there. Like, entered the Stitch Wraith over here. Scott throws out ideas and I'm just digging through his dumpster hoping to cobble it all together into a workable body theory thing. Whatever. As that silly children's workbook taught me years ago, some of the biggest lore reveals in this franchise can happen in the unlikeliest of places. Yeah, we're gonna reveal Golden Freddy's name in this children's workbook word search. Fantastic. Yay! Actually, it was fantastic. I thought it was a brilliant way to do it. That said, I will not forgive dabbing Chica. Never. Truly accursed.
Why did you say it like that?
There was one other massive lore reveal hidden in Fazbear Frights, buried amongst the tales of Extreme Makeover Robot Edition and Ball Pit Time Machine. A lore reveal.
Oh, so you're saying that we weren't together? I see.
Exploring today. A lore reveal that introduces us to a character who's been helping to pull the strings since the very beginning. One who's been misleading us about the horrors of Fazbear Entertainment. Someone whose importance goes far beyond just the 40.
But I hope you know you gotta tell Kat that she gotta put Sage in her name. games
may
now.
have just introduced us to the creator of these games. And I'm not talking about Scott Cawthon. Let me explain. One of the strangest inclusions in FNAF VR help
You hear me,
was a
Kira?
reference to a game designer that was telling lies about the
I
horrors happening in
said,
Freddy Fazbear.
I hope you know you gotta tell Kat that she gotta change her name to something Cat Sage. She gotta have Sage in her name. Yeah. It took me a long time to learn, but everyone has an infinite you gotta learn. I had to teach Deer it. Well, I sent the video explaining how I do my infinites. As you see, it does massive amounts of damage, but like, what? This is after the Majin Buu saga, but he still got this little jacket there. Now then, watch this. The art of spamming. I was fast as fuck, boy. There we go, Trunks. You're getting up there now. I'll say you almost stronger than Piccolo. I think, I don't know. Alright. Let's go. You also get boosts with certain characters in your party. Like, see, I could put him in there. What happens if I put Vegeta somehow? I'll lose it. Okay. Same. Alright. I wonder who else got the little character boost thing now? I don't want him though. I want Tien. I mean Krillin. Krillin's stronger. Destructo Disc. Actually, I'll show you. She has more moves than everybody else though. Like she has her Key Blast move, Actually, it's her palm smash. The thing she did to Vegeta. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I don't know. Ah, Trunks is stronger. But I don't know. I'll put you on the team. And I put Gohan's almost 80. We're gonna refrain from using Gohan from now on. So my Goku gets stronger than Gohan. Now then. Wait. Before I do anything else. Who all got cycles? Okay, Goku got 1. Goku got 2, 3, 4. Yes, fucking 4. Alright, we're gonna do this one. And then we're gonna do the last Gohan mission. And then we're gonna see if I can go back in time. The kick. The kick only. I mean, I got the uppercut he got, but I don't got the kick. I think only person that got a unique animation with a strike attack is Goku. Cause he's coming at a fucking dragon. But off to planet Namek. Well, to New Namek. I'll have to say, if Groudon wasn't a bitch in this game, it would be like, I'll grind a lot. Wow. Look at this place. It's fucking huge. Got the training area. No enemies around. It's a tranquil environment. Wait. I'm gonna just gift my ass off. Where is it consistent? Let's look for the plant. I got everything right but that. I'm goated, bro. God of dreams. Another world. So, Frieza. All of them have been brought back? Somewhere on Earth? Got Purunga now, though. I'm pretty sure you don't. Alright. Oh, you wanna know why I keep going back to the community board? You see these boosts, like the community skills? Like, if you boost it, as soon as you get that thing high enough, you get, like, boosts for it. So, yeah. Playable? I don't know about that. Alright, I know you're probably... Oh, 22 for gods. Alright. I'm sorry, Shenlong, but, like... What else? I can grant 3 wishes now as well. To be honest, the Game Force not gonna stay in here though. I know you probably got a bigger one in here. Nope. Adventure. Alright, training. So, Game Force 1. Or I can do this. Oh, wrong place. Wait, where are they? There they are. Alright. Alright. Let's get someone for Chi Chi. Dang, cooking is 25 for Vegeta. You're in training, you're in training, you're in training, you're in. I have never applied a boost to you. You would work wonders. There. That's all I really want. Want to see me eat like a madman? I'll eat you like a madman. What you say, huh?
pizza.
We know that Fazbear Entertainment has developed something of a bad reputation.
I think I figured something to eat soon.
And while it's true that some stories associated with our name were loosely based on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic. Lawsuits pending.
And yes, that sweet, sweet piece of man candy that you see there is Scott Cawthon himself. Okay, fine, haha, funny joke there, Scott. I mean, this series likes to get self-aware. We're all familiar with that. And for a mainline title in the series, this one felt pretty extreme, but fine, cool with it. And then you keep playing the game. And what started as a one-off tongue-in-cheek joke actually becomes a critical piece of the lore.
They lied to us. They lied to all of us. They told us that the whole point of this VR game was to undo the bad PR done by a rogue indie game developer who supposedly made up a bunch of crazy stories that tarnished the brand.
But it doesn't stop there. There's more twists in FNAF VR than there is in a typical M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Fazbear Entertainment hired the game developer. Those indie games were designed to conceal and make light of what happened. This isn't just an attempt to rebrand. It's an elaborate cover-up.
The whole thing starts with like, oh, this game designer is a joke. Psych! No, he's not. He's actually critical to the lore and is exposing the crimes happening at these restaurants. Booyah, fooled you again. He's actually one of the villains. When the dust actually settles on this plot development, what we're left with is a game designer looking like Scott Cawthon, hired by Fazbear Entertainment to make indie games, the games that we've all been playing up to this point, in order to misdirect us away from the real lore of the story. So of course, I did an episode all about how Scott Cawthon is the villain of FNAF. Let me rephrase what we just heard. Scott is one of the bad guys. He was lying to us. If FNAF VR's tapes are to be believed, pretty much everything we know from the first 3, at least, but maybe even 4, 5, heck, 6 games could all be thrown out as complete fabrications created by Scott Cawthon for the sole reason because he was paid off by Fazbear Entertainment. Except I was wrong. Nothing new to be sure, but here, my timing couldn't have been any worse. You see, earlier that very week that I uploaded that video, Scott made a post on Reddit saying that the indie game developer from FNAF VR isn't him. Here's what he had to say. Quote, "The question is this, is Scott Cawthon now a part of FNAF lore? The short answer is no. Yes, I used my own picture for this indie developer because it's an obvious parallel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually me in universe." End quote. Yeah, Scott, you remain vague and mysterious about the lore for years. Half a decade at this point. And this one little detail is the thing that you want to clarify. And you just choose to do it right before my video on this very topic, which, while it is honestly still a perfectly valid theory, gets everyone to dismiss all of the findings for that entire theory since it's the one small detail that I get wrong and everyone focuses on. I don't have feelings about any of that at all. Scott continues, quote again. So no, I'm not canon. Only the existence of a game developer that supposedly made video games based on actual events that may or may not be a cover-up by Fazbear Entertainment is canon. Keep in mind that I do tend to use pictures of me and my family in the games, just because they're so readily available. In FNAF 4, I used a picture of a mountain range that I took while I was a truck driver in West Texas. I used a picture of a snowman that me and my older sons made together. I used a picture of a pet mockingbird that we nursed back to health one year. Do these have lore significance? Well, you probably already know the answer. End quote. Oh, I know the answer, Scott. And that answer is yes. You breathe and it becomes canon. My ever-decreasing sanity aside, it does leave open the door as to the identity of who this rogue indie developer is. And I think that Fazbear Frights' story Into the Pit reveals to us who it might actually be. Admittedly, this is a bit looser of a theory, but I think it's one worth discussing. I believe our secret game designer, the one who's been lying to us through these games, is the story's main character, Oswald, the little 10-year-old boy who winds up in a time-traveling ball pit to visit the 1985 murder scene of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I believe he...
Hulu has live sports.
Todd, did Hulu pay you a ton of money to say that?
Yeah.
Did they pay you to say that Hulu Plus Live TV comes with shows, movies, and exclusive originals?
Hi. Get that money. Get that money.
Excessive underarm sweating holding you back? Qbrexza is the first and only once-daily prescription cloth towelette approved to treat excessive underarm sweating, also known as axillary hyperhidrosis. Open one today and see what unfolds.
Do not use Qbrexza if you have certain medical conditions. Phrexa may cause new or worsening urinary retention, problems with control of your body temperature, and blurred vision. The most common side effect reported was dry mouth. Call your healthcare provider if you experience side effects.
Imagine how life can unfold. Ask a dermatologist how you may reduce excessive underarm sweating with Qbrexza.
Grows up to be hired on by Fazbear Entertainment to create these games. Now, that might seem like a stretch for a character that we only get to know in the span of 40 pages, but holy Ballora, is there a lot of evidence in those 40 pages to back that assertion up. Shortly into his story, Oswald is shown to be obsessed with animatronics for no apparent reason. Quote from the book, he didn't know why, but lately he'd been drawing mechanical animals, bears, bunnies, and birds. He imagined them being human-sized and moving with the jerkiness of robots in an old science fiction movie. Sometimes he drew the animals' exposed metal skeletons or sketched them with the fur peeled back. It was a creepy effect, like seeing a person's skull peeking out from beneath the skin. End quote. Now mind you, this is without him ever having a connection to animatronics. Heck, he doesn't have a connection to the pizzeria at this point in the story. He has never been there. Nothing. This is just him naturally choosing to draw these oddly specific things without any outside references or influences. So already this boy seems to have himself a strange connection to the FNAF lore, or is just a psychopath in training, but there's more. For such a short story, Into the Pit takes a lot of time to establish Oswald as a fan of video games, B-grade Japanese movies, and manga. A lot of time for a 40-page story. We hear about him listening to video game soundtracks. We witness the debates that he has with his father over cheesy Toho-style Godzilla monsters. How funny he finds the actors' lips not matching up with the dubbed-in words in those sorts of movies. He visits the library and we hear about his enthusiasm for the latest manga installment. Now, the connection to video games is pretty obvious here, right? If he likes video games, well, there's a chance that he'd want to grow up to be a designer of video games himself. But it's his connection to old, cheesy Japanese films and manga that really got my gears turning. Think back to Ultimate Custom Night. At various point thresholds in that game, you would unlock the Bear of Vengeance cutscenes, each one clearly inspired by those old, poorly dubbed Japanese samurai movies. The art style clearly riffing on classic anime and manga animations. The mysterious designer of the FNAF games, who presumably made Ultimate Custom Night, would need to be a fan of this style of storytelling to want to incorporate it into his work. And here we have ourselves Oswald, a person who exists in this universe, whose limited characterization is spent establishing him as a fan of exactly this type of storytelling. Speaking of limited characterization, it's a minor connection, but a key point of the story is how money-strapped Ozzy and his family are. The reason he spends so much of his time in the library and the pizzeria is that they're both cheap forms of entertainment during the day, while his family works over the summer. If Oswald were to grow up and end up designing the FNAF games, well, it would actually be a somewhat similar story arc to Scott Cawthon himself. As his story goes, Scott was a struggling game designer. He was making minimum wage during the day as a Dollar General store clerk and working on his games at night, with none of them going anywhere, many of them being poorly received. The first Freddy's game was the one where all of his years of hard work and grinding finally paid off. There's obviously a lot more to that story, but suffice it to say, Oswald seems to be a character after Scott's own heart, coming from modest means, a fan of nerd culture. So to see Ozzy be the in-universe programmer of these games, to be Scott's literal in-universe stand-in for himself, well, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch. But okay, saying our designer was this kid who draws spooky animatronics, comes from a low to modest income family, a story similar to Scott, and likes the video games and anime is still a bit of a stretch, right? Describes like 90% of kids. Okay, well, maybe not all kids have a psychic connection with a decades-old murder restaurant, but the rest of it, sure, pretty generic kid. Here's the thing though, we're not just talking about Oswald's character traits here. If you look at Ozzy's experience with the Fazbear restaurant in the story, you could see where he'd be inspired to include certain game elements that we ourselves have played through. The first and most obvious is Jeff, the current owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the pizzeria that took over the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's and Oswald's time. He's described in the book like this, quote, Jeff was creepy too. He looked 100 years old, but was probably just 30. With those heavy-lidded, bloodshot eyes, the stained apron, and the slow speech and movement, he was like a zombie pizza chef, end quote. slow movements, bloodshot eyes, zombie pizza chef with a red stained apron. It sounds like it could very well be the inspiration behind an undead murderer in a pizzeria who refuses to die, or a walking purple zombie that haunts the streets of the town. Remember, the game designer hired on by Fazbear Entertainment was tasked to lie about and make light of the murders in the Freddy restaurants. So what we see in the games would likely be a mix of reality and fiction. Oswald could very well be pulling from his real-life experiences. I mean, the names of people Oswald encounters also have themselves an uncanny similarity to what we see in the games. Ozzy's best friend from the past is named Mike. A Mike who outright says this, quote, "You know, when I was little, I loved Freddy Fazbear's Band. I even had a stuffed Freddy I used to sleep with," end quote. Sorry, that's the lore connection alarm. It goes off anytime someone makes a passing reference to FNAF 4. In that same conversation, Mike also reveals that he has himself a sister. Sorry again. And then they also talk about how creepy clowns and dolls are. Apologies, that's my other alarm. That's the sister location revelation alarm. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be Mike Afton or Mike Emily. Oh, you can bet I checked into that one. But these conversations could certainly have inspired Oswald to make a character named Mike, who lives and loves the Freddy Fazbear franchise, who has himself a favorite Freddy plush, who has a sister who loves dolls and becomes a really creepy clown doll hybrid who commands an army of dolls herself. Later in the book, Oswald meets a girl named Gabrielle, who loves Greek myth and gives him the courage to fight back against Golden Bonnie. Gabrielle is a very random character, but one with, again, a very important name. One that is, once again, shockingly similar to one of the kids that we find on our gravestone, Gabriel. Even the theme of this short story could have inspired Oswald's games. You see, after Oswald uncovers the 1985 murders, his dad gets sucked into the time travel pit by Golden Bonnie. And not just sucked in, he's replaced. Suddenly, everywhere his dad should be, Ozzy instead sees the silent, staring Golden Bonnie stalking him, watching him. Ozzy is the only one who sees it too. Everyone else just sees his father like normal. Actually a really creepy, disturbing piece of imagery. One that gets Ozzy to question his own sanity. But it's also one that directly ties back to the core motif of the game.
I saw cops that murdered somebody this morning.
Get a body cam on! Find her! She cannot get back to the precinct with that camera. Put a body on him. This just went up a level.
I did.
Your baby is the most important person in the world. That's why Enfamil has an expert-recommended amount of DHA. But Similac only has half the amount we do. Shouldn't every formula meet the DHA recommendation? Enfamil is calling on other formulas to raise their DHA amount. Let's give babies more. Sign Enfamil's petition to raise the DHA.
A father, William Afton, becoming a golden bunny to terrorize kids, including his own son. A son who then has to go out, seek, and ultimately rescue his father in order to end the nightmare. And then you just have random lines inserted into the story that kind of fit, but kind of don't, but are also oddly specific to key moments throughout the FNAF franchise, like this, quote, "Every day you toss me out on the street like garbage," end quote, which are reminiscent of the FNAF 6 salvage minigames, with animatronics literally being thrown out on the street. This line, as Ozzy says it in the context of the scene, is kind of awkward, but if you're looking at it through the lens of, hey, this is actually a lore connection back to the games, now all of a sudden it fits perfectly. There are just so many details that line up between Oswald's character, the people he meets, and the things that he goes through that line up with someone who could have made the FNAF games, who could have concocted parts and pieces of this story. Even motive-wise, it makes sense. Maybe Fazbear hires him on because they know he knows the truth, and it's to get him to shut up. Maybe Ozzy accepts the money because A, he's poor, and B, he's scared. He knows what they can do to him. I mean, will any of this ever come into play in any way, shape, or form? Unclear, probably not, but why? It actually may be able to help us better separate out the truth from the fiction in the early games of this franchise. Like knowing zombie people were inspired by Jeff, the owner of Jeff's Pizzeria, the zombie guy, may take all of that information off the table and really let us focus in on what truly matters, a specific subset of murders. But even if it doesn't do anything grand grandiose like that, too, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing Oswald again at some point. I mean, already there's a new teaser for the next installment of Fazbear Fright, Fetch, up on Scott's website. So you can bet that we're going to have a lot more to say about this series and its connections with the games in the coming months. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
I had this idea of the perfect life.
Father, it's me, Michael. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you.
Nope. Nuh-uh, not touching it. No, sirree, Bob. No way. You can mechanically wheeze all you want, Michael Eggs Benedict, Afton, Purple Guy, Jingleheimer, Schmidt, but I am not. I am not spending another 20 minutes trying to piece together whether you're Springtrap, whether you're Purple Guy, whether you're a second Purple Guy, and whether all of this requires yet another rewrite of the timeline. I am not doing it. At least not until the next book comes out in June. Nope, no siree, doggo. Today, the series that prompted lore-based theories to flood this channel is getting the old-school game theory treatment. That's right. Today, I'm tackling the science of Five Nights at Freddy's. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where today's Freddy theory is going to be a bit different. No source code deep dives, no rooting around for obscure hidden Easter eggs, only hardcore real-life research. Oh, but speaking of the source code, something really fascinating is going on right now. Scott Cawthon's two websites are having a conversation. Scott Games is saying things like, "You're crowding us. You can't tell us what to do anymore. We outnumber you." And the FNAF World website is replying with, "Be quiet. Yes, I can. You will do everything that I tell you to do." Which makes it seem like FNAF 6, Sins of the Father, it's my title, feel free to use it, Scotty C, is gonna be like an all-out animatronic Civil War-style battle against the OG creator William, aka Springtrap Afton. How awesome would that be? Title, gameplay, boom, done. Feel free to use that idea as well. Meanwhile, in other FNAF updates, since a lot of you have been asking me on Twitter about my thoughts on this, the movie got itself canceled and then found itself a new production partner, Blumhouse Productions, the same guys who did Paranormal Activity, Oculus, The Purge, Get Out. Honestly, I think it's great news. Blumhouse has made a name for themselves by doing awesome movies on really teeny tiny budgets, and FNAF as an indie franchise needs that cheaply made indie vibe to really make it scary. It doesn't need a big studio like Warner Brothers, where it used to be going in and meddling and trying to make it more family friendly so they can go in and sell more FNAF toys and it becomes the next Minions or something. Low budget is the way to go because it forces you to get creative. So this news actively made me excited for the movie. A video game movie based on that. Seriously, all the subs to film theorists better get themselves ready for a heaping helping of Freddy when that movie rolls around. Anyway, enough updates. I think that covers all the FNAF related things that you guys have been asking me about on Twitter. On to the episode. This week I'm covering a topic I've wanted to do since the release of FNAF 4 back in 2015 and never had the opportunity to because I was always so busy trying to piece together the damn lore. And that is, can an animatronic actually kill you? Since, you know, this series has a lot of animatronics and a whole lot of death at the hands of animatronics. But more specifically, I want to focus on the bite. You know the one I'm talking about. Whether or not you believe this moment to be the bite of 83 or the bite of 87, whether or not the date really even matters anymore, one thing is clear. This is the moment that set in motion everything else in these games. Based on the evidence episodes coming from 6 games and the Silverized book, William Afton, creator of the animatronics, suffers this tragedy where his son's head gets crushed in a childhood bullying incident. A few days later, the son dies of his wounds in his hospital bed, setting in motion Afton's quest to, quote, put him back together. Cut to scooping, sister locations, a dead daughter, and more missing children than you can shake a basket of exotic butters at, and all because of this one moment. The bite is treated as a freak accident, something that could have been helped. The horrific ending of an innocent childhood prank gone wrong. A series filled with haunted puppets and reincarnated skin suits starts with this. Just a random tragic incident that nobody could have stopped. A simple mechanical failure. Remember, this is before any of the suits are haunted. It's still just a regular old animatronic. But is that really true? Does a regular old animatronic actually have the ability to crush a child's skull? Or is there something a bit more sinister going on here? Let me just say this. I will never look at my last sister location theories the same way again. And it's all thanks to the results of this episode's research. To begin to piece together the real danger these Disney rejects pose, we need to understand what makes them so dangerous in the first place. Sure, it might be easy to assume that Golden Fredbear and Golden Body here are so deadly because they're spring-lock suits, but as we hear about FNAF 3's phone call, the locks are only used to hold back the sharp, pointy innards so they can be worn in suit mode.
Changing animatronics to this mode, insert and turn firmly the hand crank provided by the manufacturer. Turning the crank will recoil and compress the animatronic parts around the sides of the unit, providing room to climb and back. Please make sure the spring locks are fastened tight to ensure the animatronic devices remain fixed.
It's also something that we witness up close and personal during Night 4 of FNAF's sister location. The spring locks hold back the robotic innards, and then unsnapping and releasing the mechanism is what makes them so deadly. But during FNAF 4's bite, Golden Freddy is already in robot mode. There would be no spring locks activated. They would not be snapping shut. To put it simply, the robot is operating like any normal animatronic would be, meaning that the danger is coming not from some weird, unique detail of FNAF-verse-style robots, but rather from the same mechanisms that exist in any animatronic, be it in a fictional pizzeria to the creepy remnants of Big Bear Jamboree heads looking down at you from the Winnie the Pooh ride in Disneyland. Go ahead, look it up. There's some nightmare fuel for you. Or better yet, if you're at Disneyland leaving the Heffalump and Woozle section of the ride, look behind you and look up. Oh, prepare for a surprise. Anyway, all things considered, to truly unwrap this theory, we need to know how normal animatronics actually work. Enter a man named Vern Grainer, an engineer who used to build robots for Chuck E. Cheese. Turns out, how these things are built is actually a closely guarded trade secret, because I can pronounce my awas. But in an article he did for Nuts and Bolts magazine back in 2009, he confirmed that almost every entertainment robot on the planet is built from one core technology, pneumatic actuators. What are those? Well, yo, listen up then. Ya homies know that when all the sickest ballers want to pimp out their bangin' rides, yo, they install hydraulic lifts in their undercarriage, like Ramon from the Cars movie. Well, where hydraulics use oil and fluid to...
Our military heroes' courage and bravery give greater meaning to what it is to be an American. Grand Canyon University honors our heroes and pays tribute to your heroism. Thank you for your service.
Dynamics to do that sweet lifting, yo. Pneumatics use air pressure. You build up a bunch of air pressure and then release it. That release includes whatever you want. A piston, a pulley, the deadly grin of a lifeless singing bear. They're used in everything from robots to build cars to the jaws of, well, Jaws at Universal Studios. Now, Grainer doesn't specify how powerful pneumatic actuators in a Chuck E. Cheese-style robot's mouth would be, but we can go ahead and calculate a rough estimate. Whereas other actuators in the body and legs would have to be more powerful since they're moving larger, heavier chunks of robot, the ones in the mouth are smaller, more delicate. They only have to move a couple of ounces of plastic and metal for the jaws, teeth, and cheeks. The pneumatic tubes themselves are also only a couple inches long, meaning that they can only build up so much air pressure. All things considered, you're only going to need about 40 psi of air pressure max to do all of that. That's not a whole lot. It's like the pressure created from a strong breeze. So how the heck do a handful of small pistons powered by air create enough force to crack a child's skull wide open? they can. You see, crushing a human skull ain't easy. The 22 bones of the human skull are there to protect the most important organ in our body from damage, and the whole thing has got a rounded structure to help disperse any forces applied to it. The strongest boxer in the world could punch you in the head at full force, and it barely crack. But this perfectly normal Chuck E. Cheese wannabe not only cracks the crying child's head, but breaks through hard enough to cause severe trauma to the brain? How much force is needed to do that? Well, it's actually a tricky question. First, we gotta ask, how old is the victim? When you're first born, the skull is softer, moldable, since, you know, it has to pass through narrow lady bits. Once it's made that journey, it has to be able to accommodate for your growing brain. So it has these soft spots called fontanelles to give the skull flexibility. So I immediately thought that our crying child birthday boy might be a bit easier of a nut to crack considering how young he is, but the research didn't pan out that way. The soft spots disappear or ossify by the time that you're 9 to 18 months old. And I don't care how heartless of a killer you are, purple guy, you ain't letting your 1-year-old hobble his way home after a day of sitting terrified in a broom closet. Second, to answer the question I had to ask, what parts of the skull are we talking about? Because different sections have different thicknesses and, as a result, different strengths. According to research done by Tobias Matei, who studied children's bike helmets and how they protect the skull, the thinnest region of the skull bone is about where your temples are. Lo and behold, that's exactly where our crying child is seeing most of the damage done. When he's placed in Golden Fredbear's mouth by the bullies, he's facing outward towards us, mostly facing the camera, meaning that the weaker sides of his skull are the ones that are having to deal with the crushing forces of the teeth. So, I looked it up. To fracture the skull there would require the equivalent of a 1,100-pound man or 500-kilogram woman, equal opportunity, not being sexist here, to step on the head in that exact spot. But then again, that's just to have the thing fracture. We're talking about a catastrophic head failure that impacts the brain. So we have to get a bit more specific and a bit harder of a bite. Luckily, I found a study looking into exactly that. Testing over 300 samples, some scientific madmen determined that human skull bone, when put under various kinds of stress, had a failure pressure of 1900 psi or 13 megapascals. 13 megapascals means that for every square meter of surface area, it takes 13 million newtons of force to break a skull open. Now, obviously, that number is hard to imagine without me giving you a real-world example of what it feels like. The challenge, though, is to accurately represent that pressure, we need to know how that pressure is being delivered. If I'm delivering a lot of pressure onto a small point, it's going to do a lot more damage than if I deliver that same amount of pressure across a wider surface area. Think of it like the difference of stepping onto a single nail versus laying on a bed of nails. One's a bloody good party trick, the other is just bloody. So think about it this way. 1 megapascal of pressure is about the pressure of an average human bite. We're talking 13 times that. That is a lot of pressure. And in our case, that pressure is being delivered by small animatronic teeth clamping down on either side of the crying child's head. So a whole lot more like that single nail example than the bed of nails. But to find out just how powerful and deadly these teeth are, we're gonna need one thing: pixel measurements. We need to know the surface area of Freddy's teeth so that we can figure out how much force minimum those teeth are delivering. Now, obviously, we're going to have to approximate a bit since the game contains no real measurements to go off of, so instead I started with Freddy's face. It's an Easter egg I never really addressed in the theories, but way back in vanilla FNAF 1, lots of theorists were talking about an oddly shaped smudge on Freddy's face. This smudge is in the shape of a handprint. Now, granted, it isn't a golden suit, but as we see in that game, the two are comparable in size. Given that the average human hand is about 18.89 centimeters long, we can use this handprint to scale everything else. Freddy's head, then, is 32 centimeters wide, or about twice as wide as an adult human's head, which makes a lot of sense. You need something big enough to serve as a costume. Now, using a combination of images from different angles, we can use this to determine the dimensions of one tooth, which comes to 1.4 square centimeters. It looks like he was bitten with 8 teeth. 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. This gives us a total surface area of 11.26 square centimeters. So, using the power of math, we can use this figure to determine how much force each tooth is biting down with. And that number is bone-chilling. 14,758 newtons. Why is that a bone-chilling number? Because that's the strength that a full-grown crocodile fights with. It's almost the strength of a great white shark bites. In order to deliver that amount of force, you would need 2 high-end industrial-strength pneumatic actuators. These things are as long as your arm, and they need their own dedicated compressors pumping out 100 pounds per square inch. I mean, your own teeth would crack if you bit down with that kind of force. And it is most certainly way overkill for moving the mouth of some cheap mascot at a sad sack-themed restaurant. It's almost like someone built these things to intentionally be deadly. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is our smoking gun. When we last covered the lore of this series, myself, as well as other FNAF theorists like Treacicle and Dawko, concluded that William Afton was driven to his murderous rampage by tragic circumstances. His son was killed in the jaws of that machine, and so he dedicated his life to twisted experimentation on other children to bring his son back. Sure, it doesn't mean that William Afton kidnapping and killing tons of kids is okay, but it does make us sympathize with him a little. He was driven to madness by this immense sadness. But if all this science today is truly correct, it proves that he was a madman all along. That even in the earliest days of Fredbear's Family Diner, William was making suits designed to kill, with mechanisms way overpowered for what they were meant to do. Any normal animatronic would have left the crying child with a few scratches, maybe some psychological scars, but that's about it. He'd be alive. But Afton, being the psychopath that he is, had other intentions. Not only did he create a deadly system with the spring locks, but even the basic robotics of his mascots were built to kill. Something that he would continue to do throughout his career, particularly with the Funtime series. We all thought it was a freak accident that killed Afton's son, but at the end of the day, this death was completely avoidable. It was all Afton's fault. He only has his own twisted experiments to blame, claiming first his son and eventually his daughter too. Man, gotta say, that really bites. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. 6 whole months since a FNAF theory? Wow, time flies. It's actually really nice to cover the series again with fresh eyes. I even figured out some new lore bits while working on this one. Stuff that I'm sure will show up in the next FNAF theory coming this summer. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure that you bite down hard on that subscribe button in 3, 2, 1, crunch! And hey, might I recommend clicking the video that you see on screen right now? It's actually the first video that I did on FNAF. It's actually really interesting to see how the series have changed in that amount of time. Anyway, that's it for today. I will see you all, or at least the number of you who enjoy our theories that aren't FNAF related, next week.
Good to be transparent. At H&R Block, you know the price before you begin. Makes things crystal clear. Upfront, transparent pricing. Sorry, Trevor. Know the price before you begin. It's better with Block.
Behold! We are on a quest to learn what goes on in our brains with science, tests, and experiments. We've developed a fun way to test everybody. What is going on?
Brain Games. New episodes, Mondays at 9.
And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace and perhaps more waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
Jeez, Scott. I know we didn't get along all the time, but condemning me to hell seems a bit extreme. Seriously, though, can we turn on some air conditioning here or something? It's, getting a bit warm in here. Oh, wait! It is me because I'm wearing my snuggly new game theory. later, FNAF 6, same person. Come to think of it, you have never seen us in the same room together at the same time. Anyway, the game came out over 2 months ago, and ever since I've had countless people asking me for the theory. Over 10 people in the last week alone stopped me on the street and asked for a FNAF episode. And that's not even mentioning all the emails I've gotten in that time. So for Ben, Steven, Phil, Cassie, Matt, Lucas, Sarah, Alex, Matt number 2, and NBA Rookie of last year, Karl Anthony Towns, no joke actually, as well as everyone who has sent in something requesting an episode on FNAF, this one, and potentially one squeezed between this one and the next theory, and maybe even a third one down the line at some point, those are all for you. Now, FNAF 6 was a very different game from any of the ones that came before. Not because it had a weird roller coaster tycoon-esque metagame connecting all the security camera maintenance you've come to know and tolerate from this series, but because it's much more explicit than usual. This game has a lot of talking, accompanied by clear visual storytelling to reinforce what you're hearing, meaning that a lot of the major plot points of this game are fairly easy to understand, which has got to be like a first for the entirety of this franchise. FNAF 6 is filled with a sense of finality. It's clearly meant to tie up all the loose ends and serve as the last game of the series. Or, let me be clear, the last part of the series covering what I'm gonna call the Purple Guy Saga. It's like Dragon Ball Z up in here. A saga which begins with a series of murders that result in animatronics coming to life, continues with the Afton family meeting with a series of terrible fates, and ends with the spirits of everyone involved getting closure, one way or another. Because this game feels much more obvious in its story, many online theorists have chosen to focus on the major story beats, actively ignoring the game's more unusual bits, the wrinkles that don't quite fit in cleanly. But it's in those wrinkles that we find answers to some of the longest-held questions of the franchise, and the clues that we need to finally put the whole puzzle together. So stick with me and prepare to get a little wrinkly like a toe left in the bathtub for too long, because while today is certainly a theory, or rather multiple theories all in one episode, it's also me trying to open the door to you guys, equipping you with the information necessary to discuss the final points lingering around the edge of this mysterious franchise, finally closing the book on the Purple Guy Saga. Now, before I get to the deep lore here, let me quickly run through the major reveals of this game just to make sure that we're all working with the same understanding. In the aftermath of FNAF 3's Happiest Day minigame, the spirits of Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and Golden Freddy have all been put to rest, which left only the lingering threats of Springtrap with William Afton inside, Ennard with Baby inside, Michael Afton, I'm a living corpse who used to have robot tentacles inside, and the puppet with nothing inside. Prior to the release of this game, Scott's two websites, ScottGames.com and FNAFWorld.com, were talking to each other in their source code. A conversation which showed Baby and Ennard getting into a fight, and Baby basically getting voted out of the tribe, which is why in this new game the two are once again separate entities. Ennard in this game assumes the form of Molten Freddy, which, adding in this game's other new edition of Rockstar Freddy, brings...
People take museum quality photos of things every day. Like grapefruits. We invented the ever-popular feet on the beach genre. And the don't forget your parking spot genre.
The total number of different Freddy forms across the entire series to 12 different Freddys alone. And you'll wonder why this game is confusing to talk about. Baby, meanwhile, becomes Scrap Baby, complete with a lobster claw and roller skates because Scott was like, wee, it's my final game. I can make the designs whatever the hell I want to. Springtrap now has a cleft chin, and heck, why not? There's a weird black bear named Lefty, because why the heck not throw a 13th bear onto the pile? Throughout the game, you're not only tasked with handling the best characters ever, featuring such standouts as Number 1 Crate and Mr. Hugs, but every night you'll find one of your old friends out in that back alley. And it's
Z orbs do I got now? Oh. I think I wish the Z orbs. So there's a Dragon Ball that over here. I'm gonna go right for it. So close to 92. Alright. Before I do these last two side quests, save these Dragon Balls. Put Trunks back on our team. Go eat a meal. Straight. I'll leave that last Dragon Ball over there. Do I want to use that, or do I want to wish for some? Do I want to wish for ourselves villains to come back? Nah. Villains come after I get my orbs. Villains and orbs. start the side quest. Probably an extensive side quest. Who knows? I never said I'm part of a storyline, so maybe we do one. I know one thing though. These things gonna be mad strong for no reason. Can't play it that way, so turn diagonal. Turn back. Then this side. Alright. So around over here. Right here. Right here. That's what I'm working at. low-key tired. Fuck. Another one. What's next? There couldn't be anything else. Once Time Machine's finished, like, Time Machine's finished, that'll be lovely. I can go do all these other side quests. What's over here? Oh, Torelli-chan. I'll go get a meal later. Alright, Cosmo Uzi, lemon squeeze. Look at I bought like an athlete. About what you do for fun. Bitch, everything. What you gonna do with that guy? Bitch, everything. What kind of drugs you wanna run? Bitch, and if you gonna do what you gonna leave your mom? Bitch, everything.
What's up everyone, and welcome back to another What If video. Last time, we covered
I feel
the
like
events of the Universe
these.
6 Tournament of Destroyers, and saw how this scenario would change that arc. Overall, there weren't really too many differences besides Gohan replacing Monaka and Vegeta being the one to beat Hit by using Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. But all the same, Universe 7 still came out victorious in the end. After that arc, we got into the beginning of the Future Trunks arc, where we saw our new foe, Vegeta Black. We left off the last part with Vegeta Black arriving in the past after Trunks traveled back in time. Let's start this part from here. So, why Vegeta Black and not Goku Black? Well, the explanation is pretty simple. Like I've mentioned in the last part, Vegeta is the strongest right now in this scenario, and Zamasu saw that power on full display during the Universe 6 tournament. Especially after that whole thing with Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, he realized that Vegeta's a good pick for a body steal, because he doesn't really have any reason to take Goku's body this time, and instead just goes for Vegeta. Ultimately, this leads to Vegeta Black being a thing in this scenario. Immediately when he sees this doppelganger, Vegeta is pretty pissed off. Right away, he goes to fight this clone. In one of my other what-ifs, I had it so that Vegeta killed Vegeta Black as soon as he showed up. And while Vegeta does have that same goal here, things are going to go a little bit different. Going into blue right away, Vegeta lunges towards Vegeta Black. When sensing this guy's power, Vegeta Black realizes that he can't stay here much longer. Well, he should at least make his trip worthwhile, and he notices Trunks' time machine nearby, so he blows that up, all while trying to desperately avoid Vegeta's attacks. He does get hit a couple of times, and when Vegeta's about to deliver the finishing blow, Black activates his time ring and then heads back to his timeline, being pretty beat up already. This gets the group to realize that this guy might be pretty strong, but if Goku or Vegeta, maybe even Gohan were to use their full power in this scenario, they'd be more than enough to take him out.
That's what dudes
Little
is
do they
for
know,
in
though,
this.
he's going to get a big boost in power from that fight with Vegeta. In the meantime, though, everything in the present timeline stays pretty much the same. During the time it takes to finish the time machine, all that same stuff happens. Back in the future timeline, though, Vegeta Black arrives back in pretty bad shape. But Zamasu's able to heal him, so it's not really that big of a deal. This actually turns out really good for Black.
Shenlong!
Much like Goku Black, this means he gets a Zenkai and eventually unlocks Super Saiyan Rose. This will definitely be a huge help once everyone comes back to this timeline. After some time passes, the time machine is fixed, and Trunks heads back to his timeline with Vegeta and Gohan this time. Because of all the events on Namek and the whole reason this scenario started in the first place, Gohan is a lot more proactive, so he actually is present in this arc. And like normal, Goku stays back, because in terms of Vegeta Black, Whis and Beerus actually have a hunch as to who the true identity of this guy is. So Goku sticks with them, and they all head to Universe 10 to visit Zamasu. While that's happening, Trunks, Vegeta, and Gohan enter the time machine once again. The three of them arrive in this timeline, and after meeting up with Mai and all the people living underground, they come back up to the surface and are faced once again with Vegeta Black. Except this time, things are a little different. There's someone else with Vegeta Black who introduces himself as Zamasu, and he looks kinda like a Kai. This guy could probably be the key to who Vegeta Black truly is. And of course, he is the key, because he explains all the info everyone needed. Who he is, who Vegeta Black is, and why they're here, and what they plan to do. Zamasu lays out the Zero Mortals plan like usual. The three of them don't care though. They go to attack Vegeta Black, who then begins to show off a new power of his.
No,
He
he's just running Super
transforms and
Saiyan
shows
3.
off his new form, Super Saiyan Rose, which actually is powerful enough to even match Vegeta in power. While Vegeta fights his clone, Gohan and Trunks try to fight Zamasu. In terms of power, Zamasu is not too much trouble to fight, but they soon come to see what his immortality truly entails, and how they can't actually counter it. Whatever
Almost as
attacks
strong
they
as
land
a
on
Super
Zamasu,
Saiyan.
they don't do anything. Gohan and Trunks at one point even think they killed Zamasu, but he just regenerates. There seems to be no actual way to kill him. Vegeta continues fighting Vegeta Black, the latter of which actually has an advantage in this battle. Vegeta is getting beaten pretty badly, and they realize that they need to retreat. Trunks decides to create a diversion using a solar flare. Gohan uses his instant transmission to retrieve Vegeta as quick as possible,
Yeah,
so the
just
three of them
trying to
head back to the
Super
time machine
Saiyan
ASAP while the blindness wears off for Zamasu and Vegeta Black. They're able to get there in time and actually escape. Back in the present timeline, things went pretty normal when meeting Zamasu. They learn of Zamasu's involvement in the future, and with Beerus and Whis spying on Zamasu in this timeline, they end up finding out that he's actually a bad guy, since they see him trying to kill Gowasu, and like normal, he gets erased. Trunks is about to head back, but then Gohan brings something up that's really important. Thinking ahead, he brings up the fact that the timelines are different, so pretty much like the Android saga, killing one person here might not mean it's gonna affect the future. I mean, while Zamasu was traveling through time, who's to say that the one from the future timeline is actually not a different Zamasu? Killing him here doesn't 100% guarantee that he won't be present in the future still. That's a good point, because even though he does have the time ring, this still could be a possibility, and it could be two separate Zamasus. So before they head back, they actually want to head back prepared. During the few days, Gohan actually doesn't end up training and goes back to his job because he can't really be gone for too long. But Vegeta does end up training like normal. But while that's going on, Goku decides to take Trunks to Kame House, where they can learn the evil containment wave. This should be pretty useful. Since Zamasu's immortal, they don't really have any way to kill him. So instead, they decide to contain him. Sealing him like this would be a good way to defeat him. This training does go pretty well for them. Vegeta has gotten even stronger since his fight with Vegeta Black and Super Saiyan Rose, and the training that he did in the meantime actually helped him grow stronger. And on top of that, Goku and Trunks actually learned this new technique, and unlike Goku did before, they don't actually forget the seal this time. So with the capsule and the seal, they head back to the future, with Vegeta coming along too, as well as Gohan, who didn't really do much during this time. But no matter though, it's only been a few days. They arrive back, and immediately, they encounter Zamasu and Vegeta Black once again. They have a different strategy this time. Goku and Vegeta are going to try to take on Vegeta Black as a distraction, while Gohan and Trunks can try to handle Zamasu once again. And when Zamasu least expects it, Trunks can break out the evil containment wave and actually seal him for good. This plan begins to work, as Goku and Vegeta can separate Black from Zamasu. While they fight him, Trunks and Gohan are able to hold off Zamasu for a bit. Gohan places the container down, and gives Trunks the thumbs up. Zamasu turns around and sees Trunks perform some sort of technique, and then gets caught up in some wave of energy from Trunks. No matter how hard he tries, he can't escape. Vegeta Black notices this and tries to head over to help him, but Goku and Vegeta stop him, as well as Gohan being there to help. After Zamasu is lifted up into the air, Trunks brings his hands down which puts Zamasu in the container. Quickly, they put the cap on and then seal it, with Trunks stashing the container in his pocket, and they have finally captured Zamasu. They're actually pretty surprised that the plan worked, but glad nonetheless. However, they still have Vegeta Black to deal with. Vegeta Black is pretty strong here. After his fight with Vegeta last time, he got another small Zenkai, but not as big as the first one. He was actually able to give Goku and Vegeta some trouble during their fight, and now Vegeta Black is pissed off. Without Zamasu, how can the Zero Mortals plan proceed? Angered, he launches himself towards Trunks, trying to get that capsule from him. Trunks wouldn't be enough to even take on Vegeta Black here, so he focuses on avoiding him, and tries to make an escape in order to protect the container with Zamasu inside. While Trunks tries to escape, Vegeta, Goku, and Gohan take on Vegeta Black and actually try to kill him
nice
in order to finally save the future for good. With the help of everyone else, Trunks is able to escape after a diversion is created, and now it's just Vegeta